Welcome to the latest webisode of First Edition, the all things comics, film, and pop culture web show. I'm George, and I've got a great show in store for you all. In comics, film, and pop culture news, this October, fans of The Walking Dead have even more reason to celebrate. Not only does the show return, and based on the trailer it promises fans even more death and destruction for Rick and the survivors, but there are also two other major announcements. The first is that the long-rumored Walking Dead spin-off series from AMC has been given the green light for production, and the second announcement is that Image Comics and Kirkman's Skybound imprint is releasing a special artist-proof edition hardcover of the All Out War storyline. While details are scarce on the upcoming spin-off, what is known about the upcoming show is that it will follow a whole other group of survivors and will not feature any who are currently on the show. I'm excited for this because it opens the door to further explore this zombie-filled world with new and exciting stories. I'm also excited for the artist-proof edition of The Walking Dead because I love the storyline and art that will be in the upcoming collection. This volume will feature artist Charlie Adler's art as submitted in its original state. It also collects the whole 12-issue storyline and has a price tag of $34.99. This volume will make a great addition to any fan's library, and especially fans of Adler's work. The Walking Dead returns to AMC for its 5th season on October 12, 2014 at 9/8 Central Time, and The Walking Dead All Out War Artist Proof Edition hits comic shops October 1st, 2014, and everywhere else October 8th, 2014. And be on the lookout for more Walking Dead spin-off news, as this looks to be an even bigger year for The Walking Dead. In other news, Anomalous Comics is proud to present the upcoming horror anthology Anomalous Comics Send in the Clowns. If you're tired of vampires, demons, and sharks and tornadoes, this anthology offers something out of the ordinary and features horrifying tales of clowns at their worst. This anthology also showcases some of indie comics' best creators, such as Chris Johnson, Michael Hickmott, Stefano Cardoselli, Mark Savona, Brian McCraney, and Ziheb Pekun, among many others. I'm also proud to announce that the anthology will also feature my first published work, a story called Night of the Clowns, with incredible illustrations from Mark Savona, inks from Michael Hickmott, colors from Michael McGelveen, and lettering from Chris Johnson. The Kickstarter campaign for this project launches this September and will run until October. For more information on the Send in the Clowns anthology and more on Anomalous Comics' upcoming projects and creators, check out their website at anomalouscomics.com. Next, fans of Hayley Atwell's character, who she brought to life in Captain America: The First Avenger, Peggy Carter, should tune in to the Season 2 premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The reason? Because Agent Carter will be making an appearance on the show. As a fan of her portrayal of the steadfast heroine, Agent Carter, I'm really looking forward to her appearance on the program. I'm also interested to see in what way we'll see Agent Carter, specifically if we will see her scenes take place in the past or present day Marvel Cinematic Universe, and will she be accompanied by Marvel's other World War II era heroes? The only way to find out is to tune in this September 23rd for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 debut. We also have Agent Carter's upcoming series to look forward to, which also debuts in January of 2015. I also wanted to share some news from the independent comics publisher Second Sight Studios. Second Sight Studios needs your help to bring the comic Leave on the Light to comic shops. To do this, CEO of Second Sight Studios, Bradley Golden, has launched an Indiegogo campaign, which I provided the link for below, to crowdfund the project. Leave on the Light is a terrifying supernatural thriller written by Bradley Golden with illustrations from Tolentino and lettering from Chris Allen about a detective in pursuit of a mysterious killer with ties to his past. I've reviewed this issue in a previous webisode of First Edition, and I thought it was a great comic with a lot of potential. Definitely check out the link and support this independent publisher expand its audience. Next up, this October, the original Guardians of the Galaxy return in the pages of Guardians 3000 number 1. With the present-day Guardians of the Galaxy ruling the August box office and continuing to dominate the movie scene, it was only a matter of time before the original Guardians of the Galaxy returned to the spotlight. This October, the original Guardians of the Galaxy star in their own ongoing series by writer Dan Abnett and artist Gerardo Sandoval, with cover art from Alex Ross. This series reunites the original team from the 31st century in a battle against their longtime enemies, the Badoon. While I love the present-day team of Guardians, I was a fan and reader of the original team first, and I can't wait to see them back in action. And lastly, when I saw a post from DC Comics head honcho Dan Didio, it really got me wondering if DC was planning something huge. In the post, Didio seemed to hint at a new Crisis event possibly in the works. For those who may be unfamiliar with DC's Crisis events, especially after the franchise-wide reboot called the New 52, the Crisis storylines are major events that irrevocably change the status quo for the DC universe. In all of the Crisis stories, beloved heroes have died, villains have risen to become heroes, worlds died, and universes were changed. So if there is a Crisis event in the works, I can only imagine what kind of threat will face the New 52 DC universe. I'm definitely hoping Didio is hinting at an oncoming crisis, and if so, I can't wait to see more teasers about it. And now for reviews, starting with Marvel's The Death of Wolverine number 1. In my previous show, I discussed how much I was looking forward to this issue, and now that I've read it, it did not disappoint. The Death of Wolverine number 1 is written by Charles Soule, with cover and interior art from Steve McNiven, inks from Jay Liston, and coloring from Justin Ponzer. The first chapter in the 4-issue miniseries sees Wolverine on the ropes, with every battle taking a terrible toll on the man, who used to be able to heal almost instantaneously. Of course, anyone who knows Wolverine knows that if he's going down on his own terms, as psychotic villain Nuke learns the hard way. Soule's Wolverine is incredible. I really love how the writer managed to capture Wolverine's tormented spirit while also showing how much fight he still has in him. The story in this introductory issue moves impossibly fast, and I can't wait to see what comes next. The art in this book is incredible, with McNiven bringing every panel to life in gorgeous detail. Liston's inks are a great match for McNiven's illustrations, and Ponzer's coloring is equally well suited to the art. I also really enjoyed the bonus material in this book that includes sketches and commentary from Steve McNiven, a special interview with Wolverine co-creator Len Wein, and a director's cut section highlighting Soule's script with panel comparisons. This was a great way to kick off the beginning of the end for Marvel's favorite mutant, and I can't wait to read the next issue. I also read the second issue of Titan Comics' Doctor Who series, featuring David Tennant's 10th Doctor. Doctor Who number 2 is written by Nick Abadzis, with art from Elena Casagrande, colors from Ariana Florian, and cover illustration from Alice X. Zhang. This story is titled Revolutions of Terror, Part 2, and continues directly from the events of the first issue, with the Doctor and companion in training, Gabriella, facing off against the terrifying aliens who bring to life a person's greatest fears. Abadzis' script and characterizations are excellent, and he is well suited to writing Doctor Who stories, expertly changing gears from the horrific to the humorous on a dime. I really love his Doctor, and when I'm reading these stories, I feel like I'm watching the series again, with David Tennant still in the lead. Casagrande's art is a real highlight of this issue, as she packs a lot of action and emotion into every illustration and really brings this story to life. The same can be said for Florian's excellent coloring work that really accents Casagrande's illustrations and the story as a whole. Doctor Who number 2 is a great read that anyone can enjoy, but one that fans of the show can really appreciate. The next comic I read was Almighty's number 1 from Actuality Press. This comic is definitely not what I expected and offered a fun and offbeat take on the superhero team archetype. Almighty's is written by Sam Johnson and Mike Gagnon, with art from Eleonora Corsarts, Pablo Zambrano, and DC White. Colors from Mike Gagnon, Gulliver Vianney, and Jennifer Scott, with lettering from Chris Johnson. Johnson and Gagnon craft an outrageous tale of an unlikely team of heroes who are thrust into hilariously insane situation after situation. The charm of this book is definitely in its quirky take on a superhero team whose missions include facing off with the likes of animal activists to a pimp coalition. The team of artists also does an admirable job of bringing this satirical adventure to life, and I especially enjoyed their comedic illustrations. I really enjoyed this quirky comic, and I found every eccentric character and plot twist to be a unique and fun take on the superhero team genre. Almighty's number 1 was a great read, so check it out. Another comic I read was Cross Badlands number 60 from Avatar Press. Let me begin by saying this comic is extremely graphic and is intended for mature audiences. This issue is written by Justin Jordan, with interior art from Georges Duarte, and with cover art from Rafa Ortiz. This comic also comes in several nightmarish variant covers. This issue continues Jordan's arc that began in issue 57 of the 2 survivors who have joined forces with a leader who is harboring a dark secret. As you can guess, the sanctuary these 2 survivors have joined is on the brink of collapse, and in this issue everything falls apart. Jordan crafts a solid installment with this issue and even manages to add some humor into this story that is exceedingly bleak. He also manages to give every character a voice and personality, even though a panel later they become little more than crossed fodder. Duarte's art is well suited to Jordan's fast-paced story and really brings to life the horror and menace of the Crossed. And for those who may be unfamiliar with the Crossed comic book covers, imagine your worst nightmare and you have a good idea of the kind of cover illustration you'd see on a Crossed cover. And this cover is no different, as Ortiz brings to life a horrific display of clowns infected with the Crossed virus. If you can stomach the gore and depravity of the Crossed comics, there are strong stories in these pages, and Cross might just be the read for you. And the last comic for review on my list is DC's Detective Comics Futures End number 1, which comes in a very cool 3D motion cover. When the Calendar Man sets into motion a plan to throw Gotham into chaos, in order to stop him, Batman is forced to join forces with the unlikeliest of allies, the Riddler. Written by Brian Buccellato, artists Scott Hepburn, Cliff Richards, and Fabrizio Florentino, with colorist Brian Buccellato and Lee Luffridge, letters from Desi Sainti, and cover art from Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson. This comic ties in with the DC Comics event Futures End and takes place 5 years into DC's future. Buccellato's story is lean and fast-paced, as he wastes no time telling this story. My favorite part about this comic is definitely seeing Batman and the Riddler team up. And call me crazy, but I'd love to see more of this team up because I think Batman and the Riddler make a surprisingly good team. Although I find myself questioning Batman's actions at the end of the story, and I'm wondering if Batman's choice is made out of necessity or if he crossed a line that the present-day Batman would not have crossed. The illustrations are also well done and seem to weave together well in spite of 3 different artists illustrating the comic. I also really like the 3D motion cover and its illustration from Fabok and Anderson, but I must say that at first glance I thought Jim Lee or David Finch illustrated the cover, as it seems similar to their work. Overall, this was a surprisingly strong issue for being an event tie-in and well worth a read. And now for another segment of Cover the Cover. On this installment of Cover the Cover, I'll discuss the incredible cover for Dr. Solar Man of the Atom number 5. This comic was published in September of 1963 by Gold Key Comics and has a beautiful painted cover illustration from the incomparable George Wilson. The late Wilson was known for his stunningly beautiful painted covers and produced work on everything from pulp books to comics ranging from The Twilight Zone to The Phantom and many others. While I love all of his classic illustrations, the cover of Dr. Solar number 5 is my favorite work of his. This painting is so unique and is a stark contrast to the superhero comics of that time. While the Marvel and DC books were bright and colorful and clearly aimed towards children, Wilson's hauntingly beautiful cover of Dr. Solar number 5 shares more in common with an EC horror comic than it does with the superhero comics of the day. This was also the first appearance of Dr. Solar's crimson costume, and it looks stunning against the swampy green background and fiery blaze engulfing the hero. The expression of the flamethrower-wielding foe is also beyond belief as we see the absolute terror in his eyes. This cover is full of striking details that highlight Wilson's uncanny painting abilities. Every one of Wilson's paintings is stunning in rendition, but to me, the cover to Dr. Solar number 5 is a cut above the rest. On this segment of 5 to Watch, we'll talk replacement heroes. With the Falcon taking over for Captain America in Captain America number 25, and a new female Thor debuting in Thor God of Thunder number 25, there are a lot of big changes going on in the Marvel Universe. With the death of Wolverine's storyline likely to be the real deal, the Marvel Universe is going to need another to fill the shoes of Marvel's favorite mutant. So for this top 5, I'll discuss my top 5 candidates for who may be replacing Wolverine if indeed he is taking the trip to the great beyond. Number 5 on my list is Cyclops. If we were in the 1990s and earlier, this would seem like a highly unlikely choice, but since then, Cyclops has slowly become an anti-hero in his own right. Cyclops is the field commander of the Uncanny X-Men and has steadily traveled down a darker path, and may have even lost his way for a time. But he's never lost sight of the heroic ideals that keep him fighting for human and mutant coexistence. If anything, this makes me feel like Cyclops is more than ready to step in for his friend and rival Wolverine, as he has been shown to be able to go toe-to-toe with Wolverine, and has even shown himself capable of killing when necessary. While this may seem like a long shot, I think Cyclops is a strong candidate to take over for Wolverine. Number 4 on my list is Mystique. You may be wondering why I chose Mystique as a substitute for Wolverine, as she may seem like an odd choice for the job. That is, until you consider her credentials and realize she's a perfect choice for his replacement. Mystique's most obvious qualifier is that she is a shapeshifter and can become a physically identical copy of the hero. Add some makeshift retractable claws and you have a nearly identical copy that only the sharpest of noses can identify as fake. But that's not the reason why Mystique is an excellent choice to serve as his replacement. The main reason is Mystique's never-say-die attitude and drive. Mystique is seemingly as unstoppable as Wolverine and has survived as many near-death experiences only to return even stronger. She is also pragmatic and plans for every event, which would give her the insight to see why the world needs Wolverine and cause her to act accordingly. While Mystique may seem like an unlikely candidate to replace Wolverine, she is actually a very good one. Number 3 on my list is the gun-toting, sword-wielding, merc with a mouth, Deadpool. There are a lot of reasons why Deadpool can pull this off. For one, his desire to carry on Wolverine's namesake could come from a deep respect for his longtime friend, or it could just be that Deadpool was bored and wanted to see if the X-Men would notice. Either way, Deadpool could pull this off. I mean, he's got the same healing abilities and fighting prowess as Wolverine. He's also very strange, and this is the kind of idea that might make perfect sense to Wade Wilson's deranged mind. Another reason this could work is because it could open up the Wolverine books to more comedic stories and change it up a bit. Instead of the brooding Ronin Wolverine, we'd have the offbeat and hilarious Deadpool trying to fill his shoes. Plus, Deadpool's everywhere anyways. Why not make him the stand-in for everyone's favorite mutant? If Deadpool took over for Wolverine, it could be an opportunity for some very fun and strange stories that Wolverine will be less than delighted to hear about upon his return to the land of the living. Number 2 on my list is Wolverine's one-of-a-kind clone X-23. I must admit that I am a huge fan of X-23, and I'd love to see her return to the pages of the X-Men books after she went on hiatus from them while traveling around the Marvel Universe. She would make an excellent successor to the mantle of Wolverine, as her abilities are nearly identical to his, and she will just as easily fit in with the more action-oriented stories of his books. It could also be a very personal journey for X-23 as she learns how to better herself by following in Wolverine's path of helping others. There is a lot of potential here for some great stories, as well as a chance for X-23 to stand out from Wolverine's shadow in his absence. I would definitely enjoy seeing X-23 taking on a leadership role in the wake of the death of Wolverine, and it would be very cool to see her step up and take over the flagship book. And my number 1 top replacement for Wolverine is none other than Sabretooth. If everyone is scratching their heads wondering why, let me fill you in. Sabretooth is a huge part of Wolverine's history. For Wolverine to die by anyone else's hand but his own is a huge problem for Sabretooth. But consider that maybe, with his hated enemy gone, something changes in Sabretooth, and he is somehow compelled to take over for Wolverine. This would make for some great stories, just like the Superior Spider-Man storylines. We can also consider that the Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth is a hero. While Marvel will most likely not be bringing back the recently deceased Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth, we have seen how compelling a heroic Sabretooth can be. Sabretooth has a lot to atone for, and maybe he will see Wolverine's death as an opportunity for redemption. Or maybe Sabretooth will take over Wolverine's identity in an effort to trash his legacy and make every effort to destroy all that James Logan Howlett has built as Wolverine. The bottom line is that there are a lot of compelling stories to be told here, with Sabretooth and the others on this list. With Marvel replacing their top heroes, it only makes sense that one of these characters, or another character, may rise to take over for Wolverine while he's taking a breather in death. And these are my top picks for his successors. That's the end of the latest webisode of First Edition, the all things comics, film, and pop culture web show. I'm George, and if you like the show, please comment, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for your continued support.